Welcome to Hope Matters Radio.
I'm Paul Augustine at Keller Williams Real Estate in Horsham, filling in for James Hope as he visits Real Estate Radio Network's headquarters in San Diego. And today we're joined by Bill Habib, Habib Law Associates, and Justin Gall of Remax Center. Excited to have you here with us, Bill. Give us a little bit about your background, where you came from, and what you like most about what you do as an attorney.
Good morning. Being an attorney, it's one of the most exciting fields, I think, in any profession. I get to help people. I've never really worked for banks or insurance companies. My clients are individuals, whether they be small business owners or just working class, hardworking people in a real estate transaction. If they need help with making sure that the mortgage is done right, that the title insurance is put together, the closing goes well. We come in that realm when it comes to real estate. The other parts of my law, personal injury and bankruptcy, are very exciting. We try to be a full service law firm, and we do the best we can. And I love my clients. They are regular people, and they often come to me in dire straits. So.
I've been looking forward to having you in here for a long time.
Well,
it's 25 years in the business, a lot of expertise, and it's funny because I've always said with law, it's one of those things you can either deal with legal issues proactively or you can deal with them reactively. And oftentimes when you deal with them reactively, it ends up being a lot more expensive, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And unfortunately, 99% of clients are acting reactively. They're coming to me after the fact. But those who learn that lesson, then we do some proactive work in putting in place, simple documents for them, even as simple as a will. If they don't have a will and someone passes away, we have a little more work, and it's going to end up costing them a little more money, and things aren't going to go the way they want to go. But, very specifically in that realm, in the estate realm, is getting together a power of attorney, living wills, those kinds of things. So, reactively, not so good.
In our world, Justin, one thing that we are seeing more and more of, I know, is that as people go out and buy properties and take property jointly, the question becomes, if you're not married, at which point in time you take title certain ways, what are their options, I guess, is the question, and you kind of brought it up a little bit there.
And especially this goes to the mortgage side of things as well, too, as what one's qualified for. Sometimes one spouse doesn't have as good credit, doesn't earn as much. So what are the few ways that, I guess, people can, own property or buy property as?
And we're specifically talking about buying it jointly. When you're buying property as husband and wife, you buy it joint tenants with rights to survivorship or entirety's property. The complex legal legal theory in that is that each person owns 100% of the property, as opposed to husband owns 50%, wife owns 50%, which would be tenants in common, a very, very different way of owning property. And each situation brings itself to, maybe having it one way or the other. And specifically, I have a client right now that they just got married. They're in their 70s, and the wife owned the property, and the husband, he's a little particular. He wanted to be on the deed, but he did not want it to be an entirety's property, because here's what would happen if he were. If they join together, we change the deed, then we make them entirety's owners. If he were to die, then 100% of that property would go to the wife, and thus, when she dies, her heirs. He wanted, if he were to die before her, that 50% as tenants in common would go directly to his heirs. So we have to look at the specifics of the ways in which we're going to own property, whether it be entireties or joint tenants or joint or by tenants in common.
Right. And Paul, as you know, it's important to really educate our clients prior to closing, because how many times have you sat there on the listing side of things, and the buyers sit at the table, and all of a sudden the title agent goes, how do you want to obtain ownership? And
I had an awkward scenario like that a few years ago. I was selling a property for a client, and it was this younger couple, spousal couple, but yet not married, and they were at settlement together. And I want to say that she had a not quite teenage child, and so there's some complexity in that. If this couple had just met or buying this property together, how do they take title so that her interest in that property, in the unfortunate event of her passing, would be conveyed to her son, and not just automatically that interest revert to the boyfriend in that example. So and in that case, the title person turned to them at settlement and asked how they wanted to take title, which was definitely it was bad timing. It was kind of a big conversation for the two of them to have, and to have to make that decision on the fly was a little awkward. So again, proactively versus reactively dealing with those issues is certainly a wiser call. And if you have questions about anything we've covered so far, you feel free to call us at 855-775-HOPE. That's 855-775-4673, or visit HopeMattersRadio.com.
Hope Matters Radio is brought to you by the Real Estate Radio Network. Visit HopeMattersRadio.com for more information. That's HopeMattersRadio.com.